Hi there, my name is Kirsty Knight and I work as the administrator for the City Church Canterbury. It is true to say that it has been yet another amazing year for us here at the City Church. God has been so faithful in many ways. As a church, we turned an incredible 20 years old in the year 2009, and the 20th year was no exception as a testimony to the wonderful and staggering work God has done in this church and in this city. The clearest thing that has struck me is that God is genuinely shaping this church to become more and more like the kind of church you read about in the New Testament. Three particular flavours of this stand out, and the first of all being a passion for mission. From our larger missional focused church events, such as Love Canterbury London Road Estate, as well as our 6th annual Xmas Factor extravaganza. These events were organised by a number of volunteers who worked tirelessly to ensure that these were high quality and brilliantly fun events that blessed many people.
Kids Club has been able to extend into Thanet. One of our volunteers, Mel, she's decided to take up the challenge of what God's given to her and start Thanet Kids Club. And that launches this May, so pray for her.
The Xmas Factor, the carol service, the ladies' night were all occasions on which some Coffee and Chaos ladies came, and they often point out that we're not like all the other mums and toddlers groups, and I believe that that's because we're part of God's family and we're expressing God to them in the way that we are with them.
And then on to other unseen smaller missional acts of love, such as James and Ellen Brett's cell going out to feed the homeless at Christmas time, as well as Liz Thatcher's cell donning their hats, coats and scarves, facing the cold and going out to carol sing to the London Road Estate to personally invite them to our Xmas Factor event. Mission will always require money, and we saw a staggering amount of you giving out of your own pockets, a total of £3,000, in order that we can give that money to bless the people gripped by the famine in Kenya. As a church, you may not be aware that every year we give £10,000 to the Beacon Church in Herne Bay in order to help them employ Steve Dunn as a leader who has oversight over worship and cells. Steve and Jenny Dunn were members of the City Church a few years ago when they felt the strong call of God upon their lives to up sticks and move to Herne Bay in order to be a blessing to the guys there. It is impossible to capture everything, but let's now take a more specific look at how God has been blessing the many projects and ministries we have that help to fuel our passion for mission here at the City Church.
They've been coming along to Deaf Links, learning the signs, learning how to relate with deaf people and not feeling scared. And you know, the church is showing it. It's a real atmosphere of friendship. Actually, I think that the community locally is beginning to recognise that we're deaf friendly. And at Christmas, we had a deaf Christmas party, and lots of people from the community came. It was brilliant, because we didn't know how many to expect, but loads came, and it was a really happy atmosphere. The children were signing carols to us, and we were playing games, and it was just like a real family thing.
In May, it was the first of the Healing in the Streets, so the ministry started, and we've been meeting every week on Canterbury High Street, praying for the public and just offering fantastic healing ministry. We've had hundreds prayed for, and we've seen miracles happening right there in front of the old Wittard's shop.
And we were just, praying and taking authority over the deafness in that lady's ear. And one of the ladies just started clicking next to her earlobe, and all of a sudden, she said, I can hear it. And I was kind of like, you can hear it? I mean, of course you can hear it. Yeah, this is what God does. And it was amazing. And she was kind of saying, I can hear, and I've never been able to hear. And she was about 60 years old. And that was just amazing.
As well as looking outwards, God is calling us to look inwards. That is, that we would be a loving community, carved with deep and intimate friendships, an intense family feel where all feel loved, encouraged and supported in their walk with God, as well as trying to exhibit those same qualities to anyone new to our church. A sense of family and community is so important to the building of God's people. So let's now hear from some new and familiar faces as to why they think community is so important.
And it's like coming to a party every Sunday. You get that nervous bit where you go to a party and think, can I speak to someone? But you always can. You can grab a coffee and meet people, especially through Cell and through joining the bookshop team, which is the best team, absolutely. I've made friends and got to know people, and I'm loving it.
When I came into the first meeting, I was struck by the community of believers, that it wasn't just all happening at the front on the stage, that there was a sense that everyone was participating, whether it was as meeters and greeters or the bookshop or the children, but that there were people who had come to participate as a community of faith in singing and praising and praying. And that felt really welcoming and really easy to fit into as a new person.
I was originally in Norwich and moved down here because I felt God called me to come and do impact at the church, and I've just had the most brilliant 18 months. The people have been very welcoming. I've felt instantly part of the family as well, and I think that this church just goes above and beyond to make you feel sort of connected in.
What I often do on a Sunday morning is look across the whole church and just think, wow, all of the answers that are needed in our city are contained within this church. And people come together and they're praising and worshipping and getting filled up. And what I'm so excited about is the thought that then they walk back out and they go back out into the community and they're interacting with the people they meet out all day long and just pouring all of that into the city. And that really, really excites me. And that's what I love to see in terms of community, is that he's pulling a community together to be strengthened and fed and trained and encouraged, and then back out there delivering it. And that's fantastic, because that's where I see the answers. That's the answers that people are crying out for. And you look around the room and all the answers, by God's grace, are in that room.
And to top it all off, he's a God of the miraculous. He has poured out his love in many, many amazing ways this year. So, let's hear from a few key people who can testify to the healing power of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, from when I was younger, I'd suffered with a heart murmur. Last year I was at a meeting at New Day and I'd been prayed for healing. Wasn't sure if something had happened, but I thought I'd go out and test it anyway. So I went for a run around outside and was able to run a lot further than I had been before. So there was immediate improvement. When I got back to Canterbury, I had an opportunity and I went to the doctors and they listened for the heart murmur and they had confirmed that it had completely gone.
I've always had a slightly shorter leg than the other. It hasn't bothered me much, and then in the last year it's been quite an issue. So when one cell group just mentioned it, and it was no big thing, and they prayed, laid hands on me, and I felt my leg just tingle and start to be hot, and I just thought, wow. And I stood up and suddenly I was upright, because I went to the doctor because I'd already had trouble about the leg, so I was booked in to see him, and he stood me up and measured and told me to walk and said, what leg problem?
I just felt this tingle in my shoulder, and it was like, it wasn't painful, it wasn't distracting anyway, but I just really felt that God was saying, there's some people here, they've injured themselves in that part of their body in some way, and I want to do some healing this morning. So I went up to the front and shared that with the church, and there were 4 or 5 people came forward at the end, and we prayed for some of them, and Tom and I laid our hands on one particular guy, and he was standing there with his daughter, and basically he said that he felt an immediate sense of pain relief, which was just incredible, and throughout the day, and then I think the rest of the week as well, there were 3 or 4 other people who'd said, they'd responded as well, and they felt healing, and it's just incredible what God did that morning. It was brilliant.
So that was just a snapshot of some of the things God has done in this church in 2009. I know I'm looking forward to getting involved in all that God has got in store for us in 2010.